Selling Microgreens via Weight or Volume, written July 11th, 2024 by Garrett Corwin and narrated by Garrett Corwin. So you started down the rabbit hole of microgreen production. Now you're confused about packing your product by weight versus volume. Quote, how much product should I put in a container of X size? How do I know how much product will fit inside a 16, 24, 32, or 64 ounce container? You've heard other people say, quote, I use a 24-ounce container for our cilantro microgreens. Well, does that mean they're putting 24 ounces of cilantro microgreens in that container? Not quite. You're not alone because everyone gets confused by this in the beginning, including me. First, a bit about me though. I'm the founder of Piedmont Microgreens, an indoor farm in Durham, North Carolina, where we grow about 400 trays of microgreens each week with a team of 2 full-time employees. Over the years, we've sold to chefs, wholesalers, schools, and at farmers markets. We're also Harmonized GAP certified with the USDA to meet the standards required by larger distributors and retail partners. I'm also the co-founder of Microgreen Manager, which we'll touch on more at the end. So the rule of thumb, most people discuss container sizes using volume. For example, a 64-ounce container can hold 64 ounces of water by volume. Volume, if you remember, is a measure of 3-dimensional space. However, people discuss the amount of product packed into those containers using weight. For example, it's likely that a restaurant buying an 8-ounce clamshell of pea shoots is receiving it packed in a 64-ounce container. Unfortunately, both weight and volume can be measured in ounces, and this is where the confusion comes in. So, want to know the quickest way to know how much product to put in a container? For every 8 ounces of packaging volume, use 1 ounce of microgreens. That's it, a 1-to-8 ratio. Now, if you're listening to this, you won't be able to see the table that's included in the original written blog, but there is a very simple to understand table that tells you in 3 columns weight of product in grams, weight of product in ounces, and volume of container in ounces. And so for every 8 ounces of packaging volume, you're using 1 ounce of microgreens. But the rule isn't perfect, as you would be able to see in that table. And why is that? Well, certain crops like sunflower and pea shoots are more dense than other crops like basil and shiso. So density is defined as something's weight divided by its volume. So a higher density crop will weigh more compared to a lower density crop given the same volume of product that space takes up. So for example, sunflower shoots are high density, but basil microgreens are low density. And you can just understand this intrinsically. If you had a handful of basil microgreens and a handful of sunflower microgreens, if you're holding the same amount of product in each hand and then you weighed them, the basil would weigh significantly less. So thus I would pack 2 ounces of basil or 4 ounces of sunflower shoots in a 32-ounce packaging. The basil is lower density, so you can't fit quite as much, at least not if you don't want to crush it. Another important thing to note is that most people use standard container sizes, even though there's a whole slew of different packaging sizes from probably as small as 1 or 2 ounces of volume packaging all the way up to 120-ounce packaging. Most people use 16, 24, 32, maybe 48, and then 64-ounce packaging. So 48-ounce packaging isn't as common, but some people use it depending on their use case. The other gaps in the packaging sizes, 40, 56, and 72 plus ounce containers, either don't exist or they're hard to find. Some manufacturers might offer them, some might not. Likewise, it's common to offer your microgreens in increments of 2 ounces, so 2 ounces, 4, 6, or 8. These aren't hard and fast rules, but it's how the industry developed and it's what most people expect. So again, below on the written blog, at this point is our full reference table for how we package things at Piedmont Microgreens. So that includes the product itself, whether that's sunflower shoots or a blend, how much weight of that product we're putting into what size clamshell. So it shows the weight of each variety we could pack into each container size. Keep in mind though that some people aren't comfortable packing their product as tight as we are, or they want more airspace in there. So that's why there's nuance here, but the 1-to-8 rule generally stands true. So in summary, the ounces used to describe packaging are a measure of volume. That's the fluid volume of packaging if you were to fill it with water, for example. The ounces used to describe microgreens are a measure of weight. So growers should aim to pack 1 ounce of microgreens for every 8 ounces of packaging volume. And before we wrap up, a quick note on crop planning. Most farms hit a point where sticky notes and memory just don't cut it anymore. That's exactly where Microgreen Manager comes in handy. It keeps your blends, your yields, orders, and your trays organized, even as your farm scales. We've used it to stay sane as we've grown at Piedmont Microgreens, and it's available for others too. There's a 30-day free trial and a free forever tier, along with two other uh, intermediate and advanced tiers. So go ahead and check it out. If you find it useful, let us know. And if you want other features, reach out. We'd be happy to see if we can get those implemented. So you can start with the free plan at microgreenmanager.com.